I know, the death of the NFL has been prematurely proclaimed for years now, and it's still going stronger than ever. But if the NFL were to lose its spot on top of the American sports world, it wouldn't be because of these scandals, but instead some key structural issues bubbling below the surface. I've mapped out a hypothetical way that this could actually happen. One where different forces slowly erode at the NFL's dominance until you look up and it's no longer the behemoth it currently is. After walking through this, you may see that it's actually more possible than you originally thought, and the downfall could kick off in a few years. It's 2030. Super Bowl 65 is on the horizon. The world has continued to evolve, but AI hasn't taken us over yet, so we're all good. After the 2029 season, the NFL has the option to opt out of its current deals with television partners and negotiate an entirely new package, and they take it. This move ushers in a new era of NFL broadcasting. The NFL has done a great job navigating the media landscape amid constant change the past 20 to 30 years, and it's done that by continuing what has worked. For its entire existence at the top of the sports hierarchy, the NFL has been freely available every weekend for those who want to watch it. But now, the NFL decides to make a change. Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football stick on their present-day networks, but the best games of the week on Sunday, in the early and late afternoon windows, are sold to Amazon Prime and Netflix. Fox and CBS get the leftovers, your Jaguars-Browns and Saints-Cardinals matchups, but the most interesting games weekly are now behind a paywall. Despite the fact that more and more people continue to use streaming services, this cuts the NFL's weekly audience down, even as it makes the league more money on the front end. Looking at the present-day numbers, there are about 130 million households in the United States. 97% of those households have access to Fox, NBC, CBS, and ABC, where the NFL largely broadcasts now. However, only 80 million American households have a Netflix account, or about 62% of households. The most recent data shows that about 77 million households have an Amazon Prime subscription, or 59% of all households. The NFL believes they are a strong enough draw to get the large majority of the country to sign up for these streaming services. But looking at the limited data that we have of streaming-specific games doesn't necessarily paint that picture. Netflix hosted 2 NFL games on Christmas Day in 2024, Ravens-Texans and Chiefs-Steelers. They averaged 24 million viewers. Good, but a far cry from the 29 million they averaged for 3 games on Christmas in 2023 on traditional channels. The NFL also farmed out a playoff game to Peacock in 2023. They relegated Chiefs-Dolphins to that slot, mostly to take advantage of the Swifties who would pony up whatever anyone asked to watch Travis Kelce play. Despite that built-in advantage, just 23 million people watched that game. Again, impressive compared to other sports, but it was by far the lowest number of people to watch a playoff game that week. Other games averaged 26 to 40 million viewers, and that was without the additional Swiftie and Mahomes bump that the Chiefs usually get. The barrier to entry for these services is still much higher than traditional television. And with the NFL rights hitting the balance sheet for these streamers, the monthly rates continue to rise. As a result, more people than the NFL expects opt out of those additional payments and decide to follow the league less closely. The key problem isn't that the NFL is going away from traditional television, but rather that they are putting their premier content behind a paywall that naturally leads to less viewership. This decision is especially important as it relates to casual fans, which are an important part of the business model for the NFL. To grow the fan base, you need to hook in new fans constantly, first as casual fans, and then eventually they'll become a die-hard fan. Just imagine the NFL fan base as a lake. Different streams like ease of access, cultural prominence, local fandom, and more feed into this lake, and the more water they bring in, the higher the lake level becomes. Right now, one of the major streams helping to keep the lake growing is the ease of availability of all the major games in a season. But by restricting a lot of the important games behind a paywall, this slows down the stream of casual fans into the larger pool of NFL fans. Fans of local teams will still be able to watch their favorite team on broadcast television in this new deal, but the NFL's massive appeal doesn't come from fans of local teams watching their favorite team. It comes from the ability to bring everyone in, regardless of what team they like, to watch the biggest matchups of the week on those Sunday afternoons, Sunday nights, and Monday nights. With the streaming services becoming the only option to follow these league-wide storylines week to week, with the exception of the Sunday and Monday night games, more people slowly give in and hand over the cash to keep watching the league. But some longtime fans get so frustrated that they just become less interested in the sport or stop watching altogether. And more importantly, far fewer people are able to get the first taste of the NFL that sucks in the majority of people. And so the lake levels begin to go down, imperceptibly. The year is 2040. Super Bowl 75 is coming up, the diamond anniversary of the Super Bowl. President-elect Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is ready to take office. The NFL is still the #1 sports league in America, but another sport, Sport A we'll call it, has been gaining momentum. Their games are freely available to watch, and they've really leaned into creating national storylines and characters that people can follow week to week. The game is quick-paced and action-filled, and the league has continued to keep up with technological trends in the entertainment industry. The NFL, on the other hand, has not. For the last 75 years, television has been the main medium that drove the popularity of the NFL. It's a perfect game for TV, with the rhythm of the game giving opportunities for analysis between plays to help the viewer understand what's happening. Technological advancements like high definition, slow-mo replays, yellow first down lines, and more have only enhanced the viewing experience on TV. But now, the technological game has passed the NFL by, and the game presentation has suffered. Virtual reality has become more commonplace and easier to generate without bulky headsets, but the way the NFL has approached it in regards to game presentation hasn't captured the attention of the audience. Other sports have figured out how to bring fans into the game via these technologies, which has made the watching experience more immersive. With their games still behind a full paywall, the size of the league's fan base has noticeably shrunk down, despite their best efforts to get younger viewers interested in the game via highlights, clips, and other content on their platform of choice. Alongside missing the boat on these technological advancements, the NFL has also continued its attempt to squeeze every dollar out of the fans, and that's harmed the end product. By adding 4 new teams, 2 of them in international markets, the talent pool has been diluted. There are also now 18 games in a season, which means that the end of the season has less intrigue at the top of the standings, and there's less drama throughout the regular season. The league has continued its trend of trying to take over more days of the week, to where there are games on every day from Thursday to Monday, every week throughout the season. This makes the rhythm of the season more choppy. There are less checkpoints throughout the week to see what's happening in the league, as teams are on different schedules the entire season. By now, all games are hidden behind paywalls, which makes it more difficult to check in on the league as a whole outside of your local team. This has the effect of turning the league into a more regional league, like MLB and the NHL are in the present day. There aren't as many easy opportunities to follow the same national storylines about the league's best players week to week. And playoff games are now no longer available for free either, though the Super Bowl is still broadcast for free on a streaming service like YouTube. Meanwhile, Sport A has leaned into the game as an event model that began to be popular in the mid-2020s. Those big one-time events like boxing matches with celebrities and in-season tournaments with high stakes drew increased viewership and broke up the monotony of the sports calendar. Sport A has made radical changes to its schedule to bring more storylines and intrigue into each presentation, rather than the long slog of the regular season that we so often saw in sports in the first 25 years of the century. The NFL is still strong, still the #1 league in America, but its strength is clearly weakening. The year is 2050. The identity of America has been shifting over the past 25 years. President Ryan Trahan has brought the country together in a way that hasn't been seen in decades. Super Bowl 85 is this year, and the ratings for the big game have been slowly declining. It's still a big event, but other championship events and one-off events are climbing closer to its popularity. As the stars of the 2020s faded out of view, less people got attached to the new stars coming into the league because it was harder to watch the games that they played. And culturally, the NFL just isn't as important as it was 25 years ago. Why is this? Lack of access to games and failing to keep up with the technological trends have hurt, but there's a slower tectonic shift that's happening that's going relatively unnoticed as well. Let's take a look at some demographics. Based on present-day census projections, in 2050 there are 360.6 million people in the United States. 139.1 million people are ages 25 to 54, or born between 1996 and 2025, basically all of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the core demographic that the NFL is going after, but having trouble bringing into NFL fandom. That's because of the lack of direct access and the failure to bring them into fandom at a young age, especially in the later half of Gen Alpha. Looking at present-day data too, we're already seeing evidence of less NFL fandom in Gen Z than previous generations. In a Gallup poll that took place in 2023, only 28% of 18 to 29-year-olds said that football was their favorite sport, down from 41% in the 30 to 49 range, 45% in the 50 to 64 range, and 46% in the 65-plus range. In that same survey, basketball, soccer, and other sports are the big winners from football's drop-off. And so it makes sense that in the present day, more than half of the NFL fanbase is 55 years or older. That means that in 2050, these people are all 80 years or older, or no longer with us. To replace those fans, the NFL has to bring in new eyeballs to the sport from younger generations, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and Gen Beta. To continue the lake image from earlier, as water feeds out of the lake, the NFL needs to make sure the streams are flowing strongly to replenish it. But because of earlier decisions, less people in Gen Alpha have come into adulthood watching and loving the game. And so as their children begin to reach the ages where they're interested in sports, it's not something that gets passed down as much as it used to. And that's a key point to remember. In the present day, the NFL is a tentpole of American culture. So it seems unfathomable that it would ever lose its stronghold as the most popular league in the nation. But you could have said the same thing about Major League Baseball 80 years ago. Culture changes. Things are passed down from generation to generation, and if you lose your hold on the nation's attention for just one generation, it has cascading effects. It can also be helpful to look at race data of the United States in 2050 to provide some context for the fan base the NFL is trying to build. In 2050, 25% of the United States population is Hispanic or Latino. Compare that to 19% in 2025, and while the change doesn't feel huge, it's part of a slow change in the makeup of the country. In the present day, less people from Hispanic backgrounds prefer the NFL than other races. It's a few percentage points, but these different things add up. In the meantime, Sport A has been appealing to the growing demographics, like Hispanics and African Americans, and increasing its share of the pie. As less people overall watch the NFL as they grow older and have children of their own, less people are participating in youth football. The love of football has become more regional. It's still part of the fabric of society in the South and the Midwest, but less so in the other areas of the country. This has shrunk the pool of people who are inclined to be fans even further, since more kids didn't play the sport growing up. Meanwhile, other sports like Sport A become even more popular for kids to play. These leagues connect with the youth of America better, gain more of a following early on in their lives, and build more lifelong fans. The NFL's grip on the nation's attention has continued to loosen. The year is 2065. World peace has been achieved. The NFL is celebrating Super Bowl 100, but it's not the coronation that Super Bowl 50 or even Super Bowl 75 were. Another key element that has helped buoy the success of the NFL, but that has started to slip in the past 40 years, has been the entertainment value of the product. Fortunately for football, prior to the second half of the 21st century, as the game grew and evolved, the better and more efficient ways to play the game also happened to be more exciting to watch. More focus on passing, opening up offenses with dual-threat quarterbacks, things like that. That helped the entertainment value of the product, which made it more popular. And because of the salary cap, talent distribution was pretty even throughout the league. This meant that a lot of games were close and therefore interesting to the casual observer. But now, in 2065, the game has been solved. Think of baseball in the 2010s or basketball in the 2020s. Everyone found the same optimized strategy that worked, accepting strikeouts in exchange for selling out to hit home runs in baseball and chucking a bunch of three-pointers in basketball. And they beat it to death, to where every team played the same way, which quickly became homogeneous and boring. And that's happened in the NFL now. Defenses have come up with a strategy that makes it extremely hard to score, and no rule changes have really been able to help open up the offense again. With low-scoring affairs that don't have a lot of intrigue at the end, people have grown tired of the game itself. And as this has happened, the demographics of the country continue to shift away from the core audience the NFL had built in its first century. More of the nation's top athletes are choosing to play other sports besides football, further diluting the talent pool. And now, in 2065, it's clear. The NFL is not America's most popular league. It's officially been taken over in terms of ratings by a competitor or two. There are still millions of fervent fans of the game, but the decisions of the last 40 years have contributed to it losing its spot on the throne. And Sport A has reaped the benefits, taking the top spot in the country. What sport is that? We'll talk about a couple of realistic options in the next video. Thanks for watching.